Welcome to the world of Warcraft.
Hello, and welcome to the Disguise Guide. To help us with this guide, Mist? Oh, where did she go this time? Mistwayne, get back here and finish this take right now or I'll stop leveling you. Ah, there you are. Now, let's find out more about how disguises work in Turtle World of Warcraft. Disguise is a rogue class specific skill. It starts from a level 2 quest in the starter zones, and leads to Ironforge and the Undercity, respectively. The Horde quest, Professor Malkovich, starts from either of these trainers. Rag in the Valley of Trials, and David Trias in Deathnell. Professor Malkovich can be found underneath the Apothecarium in the Undercity. He starts the follow-up quest, The Human Anatomy. To complete this quest, the professor asks you to rid him of the annoying peasant found in a room nearby. After defeating the peasant and bringing the intact human head back to the professor, he rewards you with the item Anatomy Class Notes, and trains you in the use of the Disguise skill. The Alliance quest, Professor Papucho, is very similar. It starts from these three trainers. Brahoon Shade Whisper, found inside the big tree in the middle of the Shadow Glen. Jorik Caradan, found behind the Northshire Abbey in the stables. And Salm Hargren, found inside the main dwarf building in Coldridge Valley. Professor Papucho can be found inside the Forlorn Cavern in Ironforge. He starts the follow-up quest, The Orcish Anatomy. To complete this professor's quest, you'll need to kill the stupefied Orcish Peon nearby and bring his intact orc head back to Papucho. After slaying the orc and returning the head to Papucho, he rewards you with the item Anatomy Class Notes and trains you in the use of the Disguise skill. In addition to learning Disguise, each faction learns a unique Disguise spell. The Horde learn the Peasant Disguise, and the Alliance, the Peon Disguise. Each of these disguises requires one linen cloth as a spell reagent. All other disguises require one cloth and a tool to cast. No matter which spell is cast, the tool is never consumed. The Anatomy Class Notes item, given by both professors, can be right-clicked to show a list of other disguises available in the game. Starting with the Defias Footpad disguise, we'll take a closer look at each of the disguises listed. The recipe for the Defias Footpad disguise can be purchased from the suspicious Defias Footpad located in the Westfall ruins of Moonbrook, behind the entrance to the Dead Mines. The Footpad sells Knowledge Defias Disguise for 25 silver. Like the other knowledge patterns on this list, the vendor only carries one of these items at a time. This recipe requires level 13 to learn, and to cast the spell you'll need one linen cloth and a red Defias mask. Note, the mask is not consumed when casting this spell. The red Defias mask required for this recipe drops from the mobs listed here. The recipe for the Dark Iron Dwarf disguise can be purchased from the suspicious Dark Iron Dwarf found just outside the gate into Dun Modor. Dun Modor is located just south of the Thandil Span at the very northern edge of the wetlands. He sells one recipe at a time for 25 silver. The recipe requires level 22 to learn, and to cast this spell you'll need one wool cloth and a dark iron leather. As before, only the wool cloth is consumed when crafting this disguise. The dark iron leather item drops from these mobs and can be purchased from a vendor inside one of the buildings in Dun Modor, from the Dark Iron Entrepreneur, for 80 silver and 81 copper. This vendor also sells several other items travelers might find useful. The Southsea's pirate disguise recipe can be purchased from two different suspicious Southsea pirate vendors. One located just southeast of Ratchet along the Merchant Coast. The other is located on the northern Menethil Harbor dock in the wetlands. This pirate can be tricky to get to. Hint, go inside the boat to find the stairs up to the deck that the suspicious Southsea pirate is located on. These pirates each sell one recipe at a time for 25 silver. This recipe requires level 13 to learn, and casting this spell requires one linen cloth and a deckhand shirt, not consumed. The deckhand shirt is dropped by these mobs. The Dalaran Wizard's Disguise recipe can be purchased from the suspicious Dalaran Wizard found along the road in southern Silver Pine Forest, south of Amber Mill. The wizard sells one recipe at a time for 25 silver. Level 13 is required to learn the recipe, and casting this spell requires one linen cloth and a Dalaran Wizard's robe, not consumed. This recipe is unique in that both factions can learn it, but the non-consumable item is only dropped by mobs hostile to Horde players. Alliance rogues will either need to enlist the aid of a friendly Horde member nearby, purchase it off of the auction house, or roll their own Horde character to farm the item. For those seeking this item, it drops from these mobs. The Stonesplinter Trogg Disguise recipe can be purchased from the suspicious Stonesplinter Trogg located near the Trogg camps southwest of Thesselmar in Loch Modan. The Trogg sells one recipe at a time for 25 silver. Level 13 is required to learn the recipe, and casting this spell requires one linen cloth and Stonesplinter rags, not consumed. Stonesplinter rags drop from these mobs. The Syndicate Disguise recipe can be purchased from the suspicious Syndicate Highwayman located at Northfold Manor in the northwestern part of the Arathi Highlands. The Highwayman sells one recipe at a time for 25 silver. Level 22 is required to learn the recipe, and casting this spell requires one wool cloth and one Mark of the Syndicate. The Mark of the Syndicate drops from these mobs. That wraps up the Rogue Unique Skill Disguise from Turtle World of Warcraft. Before I go, I wanted to add a few final thoughts. First, the Disguise skill can be found in the General tab of your spellbook. Disguises do last through logging out and logging back in. What do players on the other faction see when you are disguised? They see you dressed up in the disguise, but you're still hostile if flagged. Do disguises fool guards or other NPCs? No. As you can see here, the guards still attack, even when disguised as a peon in an orc camp. And no, the pirate disguise does not work on other pirates. The disguise will fade when attacking or being attacked. That's all I have for you in this video. Please share in the comments below if you discover any fun tricks or something I missed with disguises. And as always, thanks for watching.